Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floater to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. Speaking of those Lakers,
Hold on. But I didn't make my.
I said Denver's gonna win.
Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risher, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And before we get into the ALCS and the NLCS, we got to talk about a decision the Yankees made yesterday. And the Yankees decided to re-sign Aaron Boone to a 3-year contract. They decided to extend his contract through the 2024 season. Me personally, I don't think this is the right move. I think they should have moved on from Aaron Boone. And I don't think Aaron Boone was terrible. I thought he was, average. I thought he was average. And I think the biggest reason why is, he took over this team in 2017. They were one game away from the World Series. And in those first 2 years, he had two really good years. First 2 years, they won 100. First year, they won 100 games. They lost the Red Sox in the first round, but still, that was a good year. The year after, they had Judge and Stanton miss a ton of times. They won over 100 games, and they got the LCS. Great year. Probably the best year he had as Yankees manager. But the problem is it started to get worse from there. Last year, they go in the shortened 60-game season. They go 33-27. They did win in that weird first round of the playoffs last year, but then in the division series, they lose to the Rays in 5. And he made a bad decision in game 2 of that series, which could have very easily cost the Yankees that series. And then this year, the team definitely played better in the second half, but ultimately they underachieved, and they lost in the wild card game. And I feel like you can't – yes, I know Gleyber Torres struggled. I know DJ LeMahieu struggled this year. But you can't fire 25 players. Ultimately, you have to put that on the manager, and that's why I don't think this is the right decision, bring back Aaron Boone. I just don't feel like the Yankees bring back Boone are as good as the Rays, are going to be able to beat the Rays, be able to beat the Astros, and be able to beat the Red Sox with Aaron Boone back as manager. And you could argue the way the White Sox are playing, the year the White Sox had, they might not be able to beat the White Sox and even the Blue Jays with the year they had. So I just don't think this was the right decision by the Yankees. I feel like they needed to move on. I feel like they needed a change. They needed a change at manager. But Justin, what are your thoughts on them bringing Boone back?
I changed my tone here the last 2 weeks. Since the last 2 weeks when the Yankees got eliminated. I actually have now really, after looking back at it and kind of looking back at last year, I put it all more on Cashman than I do Boone. Now, I don't like how Boone does not motivate teams. I cannot stand that. He got to be a better motivator. But, again, the roster construction is so bad that – and look at the Red Sox roster. Who from the Yankees would be starting in the starting 9 for the Red Sox right now? You probably say Judge and maybe Gleyber Torres over Kike or Christian Roy. Yeah, that DH over Martinez, sure. But that's about it. Like the Red Sox are just a better team right now.
I'd say Judge, Stanton, and Sanchez. And Rizzo. And Rizzo.
And over Schwarber.
Good point there.
Good.
Good point. Yeah, good point there.
So I just don't think the Yankees were very good. And I don't like how moves on a motivator. Again, that bothers me. And it sounds like they're going to bring in a new assistant coach that's going to turn into it's going to be the motivator, I guess. I don't know how that's going to work, but I put it more in the construction of this team. And I put it more in Cashman that this team just isn't very good. Again, you look at the back of the baseball card, Gleyber the last 2 years hasn't been very good. Gary, that's the best you're going to get from Gary. Like, I think DJ's having the core surgery. Maybe that was affecting him most of the year. Maybe that's why he was so bad, or not bad, but lower than DJ maybe expectations. So again, you had Joey Gallo batting fourth, batting 160, and I thought that was going to be a great piece, but that did not turn out very well for him. Again, I'm not a big Boone fan, but I put it more on Cashman. Again, because it's like you bring back, if they fire Boone, who are you bringing in? It's another puppet. It's not going to be a Bochy. It's not going to be Joe Torre. It's not going to be one of those old school managers. It's just not. So that's why I'm at the point of, okay, this team just was not very good.
I see you're listening to Joe there. It's like you and Joe are the only Yankee fans that want in our network that want Aaron Boone back, and I don't. And here's the reason why I don't want him back is he. I think LeMahieu's struggles, I think Torres' struggles are on him. He's not motivating these guys. I feel like he's just not motivating guys like LeMahieu and Torres. He's just not motivating these guys to play well. And the team was really the first half of the year.
Yeah, Steve's point there with they couldn't motivate. Boone not being able to motivate the guys there. I think the motivation's a problem. That's why I'm not the biggest Aaron Boone fan still. But I think that's what you're going to get from most managers nowadays. That's just how it's going to be. I was kind of finish your point of Boone with the motivation. That I think that's what most managers, and I think it sounds like they want to hire an assistant coach like that. But it is so weird. Yeah, I'd rather have my manager do it, but it doesn't sound like they want the top guy to be the bad guy, I guess. I don't know why that is, but it seems a little odd.
Yeah, what were you talking? Were you talking about like Boone was about the analytics?
Yeah, that the analytics they don't really want him to be the motivator. They want one of the other coaches to be the motivator, and I don't understand why.
That's why. But that's why this isn't a top-tier organization. That's why these aren't the Dodgers. These aren't the Astros. These aren't the Rays. These aren't the Braves. These aren't the Red Sox, because that's the problem. They need the manager to be the motivator, and that's the biggest issue with this team. They need Aaron Boone to motivate these players, to get on Gleyber Torres when he's not playing up to potential. To get on, DJ LeMahieu when he's not playing to potential. He's got to be able to do this. That's why they need the manager to be that kind of guy. That's the problem with the Yankees organization right now, and that's where. Yes, you got a point with Cashman.
Yeah, and I understand. Yeah, that's where Cashman kind of building this team and all the analytics. And then it's like, so if they bring in another manager too inside Boone, he's not going to be the motivator either. So it's pretty much like we're getting Boone 2.0. So, and I think thinking back on it, Boone did a pretty good job with this roster. Like, look, 92 wins is not good for the New York Yankees. I'm not trying to give them excuses. But I feel like it'd just be another Aaron Boone. So why go out there and be, instead of throwing somebody the fire that we're just, great, but it's just going to be the same guy that we just had in Aaron Boone. That's just where I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I put most of it on Cashman. It really sounds like they're going to go out and go get one of these big shortstops, and we're going to have somewhat of a different team. But again, you look at it right now, the Yankees are the fourth best team in that division. And it's gonna take a whole reconstruction. I need to get above. The Rays are gonna be the Red Sox are gonna get better, and Toronto just needs bullpen help. So it's gonna be a steep climb for this team.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I just don't agree with this move. I just think that this team, I think they're going to be, with this move for the next, 3 years, I feel like it's going to be a third place team. They're going to be behind, either they'll probably definitely be behind the Rays, because I think they're going to have the best future, and they're going to be behind the Blue Jays. They're going to be behind the Blue Jays, and they're going to be behind either the Blue Jays or the Red Sox. That's how I feel like it's going to be.
I completely agree. I get, and I see why you don't want him back, and I understand everybody why, and I was the same thing, but I just see it. It's just going to same things over, and I think it's more Cashman. But yeah, again, they got to make some major changes here. This to this roster to be able to be a playoff team and to get back to World Series.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree there. They're going to have to, figure out what they're going to do at shortstop because Glaber had a lot of trouble there fielding and hitting this year. They'll probably have to eventually maybe move on from him and and maybe go out and get a Correa or a Trevor Story. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think yes, they definitely need to improve. They definitely need to improve this roster. I think they need more bats in this lineup. I think they need a little bit more depth. The rotation I think is fine. A little bit more bullpen depth. So they definitely have to improve this roster. You definitely have a point. You definitely have a point there. But same thing. I just think that I felt like new leadership. It's really between. Do you want for Yankee fans? Really, do you want a new leader or do you want the roster to be different? And we have different views on it. You want the roster to change. I want a new leader. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see where you're going with. And again, I was saying kind of the same things, but yeah, I just don't know what a new leader's gonna really do. I just think it to be the same thing. And yeah, I think if you give him a roster with this day and age, again, the playoff history is not great, but again, I just rather run it back with them and just hopefully, teams like they kind of figured out that we need to fix this roster.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens there. But we got to talk about teams that are in the playoffs. We got to talk about last night, and we talked about last night as the Astros even the series with the Red Sox at 2 games apiece. Red Sox were up 2-1 for most of that game, and then Jose Altuve, he's had some huge hits in this series. Had that huge hit in Game 1, that huge 2-run homer in Game 1, had a huge solo home run last night, and then Jason Castro comes off the bench, gets that hit to put the Astros in front. And then pretty much Michael Brantley put the game away with that 3-run double. And the Astros tie the series at 2 games apiece. I think the big story in the series for the Red Sox has been their offense. 3 grand slams. That is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, you had the 2 grand slams by JD and Devers in Game 1, in Game 2. My bad there. And in Game 3, had that big grand slam by Schwarber. So you had those 3 huge grand slams. And then the Red Sox starting pitching has not been that poor in this series. Outside of Chris Sale, they've all gone more than 5 innings. And today, in this postseason, if you can go more than 5 innings, that's considered a good start. Evaldi did in Game 2. Pavetta did last night, and Aguirre and Rodriguez did in Game 3. So, if you can go more than 5 innings, that's considered a good start. Because you look at the Astros rotation, it's been a disaster. They haven't had a starter go more than 3 innings in this series. And then you look at the bullpen. That's the one concern with the Red Sox. Last night was the 3rd time the Red Sox have had a lead going into the 8th inning in this postseason, and they haven't been able to hold it. Those 2 games against the Rays, they ended up winning them, but they lost those 2. They didn't lose them, but they did have a lead in the 8th inning, and they gave up a lead in the 8th inning in both those wins at Fenway against the Rays. And then last night it came back to bite them because they gave up the lead in the 8th inning, and then they gave up 7 runs in the 9th inning. So the biggest concern going right now for the Red Sox is their bullpen. And for the Astros, their offense has been, hot and cold. Altuve's been Altuve's had some huge hits. Correa had that big hit in Game 1, and then Brantley had that huge hit last night. So their offense has been hot and cold. Their bullpen has been good. I think their bullpen is the reason why they're still in this series. They didn't get swept. Their bullpen it was really good in Game 1, and it was really, really good last night. Greinke didn't last long last night, but their bullpen was outstanding last night. And I think but the problem is their starting pitching has been absolutely terrible. It has been terrible in this series, and they need to get length out of the starting rotation because their bullpen is completely burned out. So right now, I would say offensively, I think you give the Red Sox the edge. The starting pitching, you give the Red Sox the edge, and the bullpen, you give the Astros the edge. So it's a 2-2 series. It could go either way. But even though the Red Sox got the edge offensively and got the edge with their starting pitching, I just feel like with the matchup today, I just don't feel like Chris Sale's getting it done. And I feel like that in Game 6, the Astros will win at home. Right now, I had said Astros in 6 from the start. I'm still going to go Astros in 6.
I'm actually going to take the Red Sox at 7. I think their pitching sets up I mean, the Red Sox, I'm going to take the Red Sox 7. I think their pitching still matches up a little bit better. Now, Sales sounds like today, again, it sounds like Cora wants 9 outs. Just give me everything you got, empty the tank, and then Tanner Houck's going to piggyback off of that. And he's pretty fresh, so you're going to probably see Houck go for as long as he can. But again, it's like you're throwing a rookie out there who's been good all year, but he's a rookie going in a postseason game, and now a best out of 3. So you never know what could happen, but it sounds like Sales, they're just going to try to get at least 9 outs from him this afternoon. But yeah, it's been hot. It's been hot and cold for the Astros. Like Bregman really hasn't gotten going. But yeah, Correa with the big couple of hits. You know, the Red Sox have 21 home runs, which is the most all time in the postseason, and they've played 9 games. So they've just been on fire. And I guess that's like last night after, they were 0 for 9 last night with runners in scoring position. That's how you get it done against an Astros team that you knew their offense was going to break out at some point. They're just too good not to. But right now, this Red Sox lineup is just so nasty. And, and you can see by the way the Astros, especially the start of pitching, they are afraid to come inside the zone. And the Red Sox, have done a pretty good job of laying off and getting walks. But, like, this lineup, and you figure at some point, too, like, the Red Sox lineup has to cool off because they have just been all so red hot right now. But it's been a good series. Yeah, like Christian Javier last night for the Astros absolutely saved their season with the performance he put in after they had to pull Greinke in the second inning. So he was huge. It gave him a huge boost in that bullpen that they kind of gave some other guys a couple of nights, a night off. But yeah, right now I still think the Red Sox pitching still sets up a little bit better because they still do have Nathan Eovaldi, who's still going to probably go Game 6.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, they used Eovaldi last night. They burned him out a little bit last night because they used him out of the bullpen last night. Even though he is going to go Game 6, they used him last night. And I don't know if Eovaldi's going to pitch well again, especially going into Houston. Say Houston wins this game and they got all the momentum coming home. I don't think Eovaldi's going to pitch. He could not pitch well in Game 6. So it definitely could. This series obviously can definitely go either way. I think obviously after Monday night you thought the Red Sox definitely had the advantage, and for most of the game last night you thought the Red Sox had the advantage. But why Jose Altuve is so great in the postseason is what he did last night. That shows you why he's amazing. Is he could very easily have turned that. He very easily could turn the series around with that home run.
Oh, absolutely. Because you looked at Game 3 the other night, and it kind of looked like that like the dugout was dead. Like they kind of looked defeated. And yeah, when Altuve hit that home run last night, tied up at 2, you kind of just saw that they got going in the 7-run out burst in the 9th inning. And again, like you give like that Astros team confidence, like the Red Sox did last night. Like they usually do not give it back very easily, and that they usually take off and run with it. Houston does. So yeah, like I could see the Astros now kind of getting that offense going. Sale tonight, wasn't great in Game 1. Gave up 5 hits, only gave up 1 run. But again, it's an Astros team that, again, they're usually deadly against anybody. So yeah, I could see the Astros getting him, and then Eovaldi kind of got into trouble early last night, and then again that Drake call or that ball should have probably been a strike, but his zone was bad all night. I think he missed like 21 calls. He was the 6th worst umpire calling balls and strikes this year, so I don't get why he's even doing the game, but that's beyond me. But yeah, like the Astros kind of took advantage of that, and they absolutely just took advantage of the bad call and went to work, and were able to put up 7 runs against them.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see. I think that this lineup is starting to get hot, though, and I mean, that's why I feel like the game plan's got to be different for the Red Sox. They got to have Chris Sale come out and go as far as he can. If he's supposed to be considered one of the top pitchers on this team, he's got to go as far as he can. He can't be just give me 3 innings, because I just don't. After what I saw last night, I have trouble trusting this Red Sox bullpen against this Astros offense.
Yeah, and I think they're still kind of trying to protect the elbow from Tommy John, and they don't want in a high pressure game like this, they don't want to they're still thinking about the future of Chris Sale, and it's kind of like, okay, because it sounds like Cora pretty much said just throw everything you got in the tank, just use it in the first just to get the 9 out. So I don't think they want to put too much pressure on the elbow right now. and they're kind of, I think they're kind of just playing with house money still. It really seems like, and they have Houck that's available, so they feel like, okay, we can get 3 from him. We can throw Houck for 4 or 5 innings, and I get what you're saying. Houck's been good, but look, yeah, and I said it. He's still a rookie. He could get hit hard tonight, and yeah, it could blow up. It could really blow up their plans. So I hear you, but they just don't. They're not there yet with Chris Sale to kind of just unleash him yet. They're still kind of worried about coming off Tommy John.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and you kind of have to. You don't want to, mess up his entire career, but still, you would think, you're trying to win a championship here. You would try to pitch him, as long as you can. But I think, upstairs again, just like with the Yankees, upstairs is probably managing what they want to do. Especially, I think Pine Bloom is pretty much managing what the Red Sox want to do with Chris Sale.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think they do. Now it wasn't Bloom that gave him the extension; it was Dombrowski. But yeah, still, you still have 4 more years of this guy. Getting $30 million. You'd rather have him there. Pitching. Now you do pay him for moments like this in a big game 5 to 2-2. But yeah, it's you would think they want to let him loose. I get it with the Tommy John. The last few starts, you go back to that O start back in or the National start, the last.
That was terrible. That National start was terrible. Devers saved him in the 9th inning in that game.
Yeah. So he hasn't really been the same since he kind of got, the Rays kind of got him. Believe it was game 2. Yeah, game 2 when it was 5-0. He hasn't been great. We haven't seen the lights out Chris Sale, too. So I think they're kind of hope just get us one time around and then, go from there with Houck. I think they're pretty confident that Tanner Houck could, shut down at least slow down this Astros lineup enough, with the Red Sox offense to hopefully, give them a win.
And Hector just put a comment. I think whoever wins tonight wins the series in 7. I mean, I think that could very easily be true because we'll say the Red Sox win tonight. The Astros in a do or die situation at home, they could win, but then. If you go into Game 7, also, we have Eduardo Rodriguez against Urquidy, and Urquidy did not pitch well at all in Game 3. So I could definitely see the Red Sox winning in 7, and then on the side on the Astros side, you got you obviously if the Astros win tonight in Game 6, you got Eovaldi against Garcia, and Garcia didn't pitch well in Game 2 either. So, and then, but you could also see, Eduardo Rodriguez not pitching well in Game 7. So I very easily could see that scenario happen. Whoever wins tonight wins it in 7.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see it too because, Eovaldi, showed last end of the pen, but been good, mostly, the rest of the playoffs so far. And you go back to 18 when he pitched well, probably got him that contract back in 2018. So, yeah, I could see it. Because they got Urquidy and Garcia very early in both those games, and I could see the Red Sox not having confidence. In the last 2 starts, Erod's been really good and has looked good, and guy that free agent's going to need the money or going to want the money, and would be a huge start for him in Game 7. But yeah, we've seen Erod struggle. You saw Game 1 against the Rays where they tattooed him. It's not out of the realm of possibility to get see Erod get rocked, but. Yeah, I could see it because both pitchers, Luis Garcia struggled as well against Eovaldi. Struggled out of the pen. You could see him struggle Game 6. But yeah, I think whoever does win tonight, it could definitely find a way to win in Game 7.
So to recap, I still got the Astros in 6 because I'm stubborn. And that's what I predicted, before the series. Justin, you got the Sox in 7, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'll take Sox 7.
Got it. It'll be interesting to see what happens these next couple games. We'll see which team will represent the American League in the World Series. But now we're going to shift over to the National League, and it looked like the Braves were going to sweep the Dodgers. They had a 5-2 lead last night in the 8th inning, but Cody Bellinger did not have a good year. Has not had a good year all year, but he came through huge. Came up big last night with that huge 3-run homer in the 8th inning to tie the game, and then Mookie Betts hits the RBI double to give the Dodgers the lead, and eventually the Dodgers win, and they're right back in the series as they won 6-5. And obviously the Braves went up 2-0. Austin Riley came up huge for them. Eddie Rosario in Game 2. But, Justin, with the Dodgers winning this game last night, how much does this increase their chances of winning this series?
I think big. Last year too, Braves were up 2-0 and even 3-1, and they couldn't hold on. And I think they had the Dodgers pretty much dead last night, up 5-0, and the bullpen just they couldn't finish it off. And Bellinger, who's had such a horrible year, but playoff so far has been great. And you even go back to last year against the Braves, he had a really good series, including the 2 home run game he had in Game 7 last year. He's already got 4 RBIs or 4 home run he's already got 1 home run, but or 6 RBIs, 1 home run, 6 RBIs. He's batting .300. He's been great so far in the postseason. He's and that's a scary thing with the Dodgers lineup, which the Braves are going with a bullpen game, I believe, tonight. I don't think they have announced who's starting out of the bullpen, but it's going to be a bullpen game against Julio Urias. So tonight's going to be a tough one because Moore pitched well, and you kind of thrown out that start that he kind of gave you there. They do have Max Fried tomorrow, so they could go back to Atlanta, possibly up 3-2, but I don't feel very good about it. I think the Dodgers now have a lot of confidence, and I think the Braves now, even though they're like the big underdogs in the series, only having like 88 wins, I still think there's some pressure on them now to really have to win tonight because Dodgers kind of sweep get tomorrow as well. Now you're down 3-2, and it's kind of like, okay, just like last year where they kind of had the Dodgers beat and they just could not hold on, and they blew the 3-1 lead last year. So I really feel better about the Dodgers' chances. Kenley Jansen has struck out 10 of his last 15 batters he's faced. Dodgers bullpen's been pretty good in the back end, so I feel pretty good right now that Dodgers are going to find a way to win the series.
2 things. Number one, I will say there is a lot of pressure on the Braves because obviously what happened last year. I mean, you can't blow another 2-0 series lead in the NLCS. I mean, you're right. I know they lost Acuna. I know they're a huge surprise getting here after losing Acuna, but there is still pressure on them. If they blow another 2-0 lead to the Dodgers in the NLCS. But I do think they're going to win this series, and here's why. Buehler and Scherzer have not given the Dodgers length in this series. They really haven't. And I really like the Braves matchup in Game 5 because I'm pretty sure Urias is pitching today for the Dodgers.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he's going today. I know the Braves are doing a bullpen game, so I do think the Dodgers even the series today. But I do like the matchups in Game 5. And I do like the matchups in Game 5 and in Game 6. Scherzer was not great in Game 2, as you heard the rumors about it, is dead arm. And I think Atlanta, I think they win Game 5, and I think they close it out. I think they do it. I think they win it in Game 6. I feel like because I just don't think I don't think Scherzer. I don't know what Scherzer we're going to get in Game 6. That's my biggest reason why I feel like Atlanta's going to go to the World Series, even though they blew the game yesterday. I think they lose today. I do think they bounce back and win Game 5 and Game 6 and go on to the World Series. And another reason for it is I think it's because of their offense. I really like the way Austin Riley's hitting the ball. You can rely on Jock Peterson to get big hits in the postseason. And really outside of that, outside of the 8th inning, the Dodgers offense hasn't been that great. I mean, they're lucky Cody Bellinger has bailed them out a couple of times, but their offense just hasn't been great in this postseason.
No, it hasn't. It really hasn't. Mookie, as you mentioned, had the big hit yesterday. But Justin Turner hasn't got going, and he's really been a good postseason hitter. He really hasn't gotten it going so far. Chris Taylor's batting like 320, but he's down towards the bottom. But they haven't gotten it from their big bat so far. Pujols 2 for 10 so far. Trey Turner's batting 200 right now in the postseason. So. Yeah, they really haven't gotten that lineup. That potent lineup hasn't really done a ton of damage, especially in the series until the Bellinger home run. Jock Peterson, another big hit yesterday. Again, facing his former team, he's going to be fired up, wanting to send a statement to his former teammates in the Dodgers organization. Because the Braves are my World Series pick, and I really didn't think in May they'd be at this point right now.
You probably thought in July that there was no way they were getting to this point when Acuna went down.
No, I saw that. I was like, it looked pretty bleak at the time right before he got hurt. But when he got hurt, I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's that's over. But so it's been crazy, and it's a team that, has believed since like the trade deadline. They got a lot of pieces. They lost Ozuna too, who was great last year for them. Again, their pitching's been good. The lineup really got going. They got like Travis d'Arnaud back towards the end of the year. That's really helped. Tyler Matzek out of the bullpen's been great in the postseason. So I could see the Braves just kind of finding a way, because it just, all the moves that they did, it really showed this team, it showed the team that the organization kind of believed that they could get this thing done. And you're kind of really seeing it. And I know probably before, especially, playing with house money, but then you go up 2-0 and that happens, and now it's 2-1 and kind of the pressure turns back to you. So we'll see what they do tonight. But I do still think the Braves have a chance. I'm hedging my bet here, and I'll take like the Dodgers and win this thing at 7. I think the Dodgers do somehow find a way. And I know Scherzer with the dead arm rumors, he's not looked good, but like I feel like in a big game, like a big game 6 where they need it, I feel like Max Scherzer is going to give you everything else, everything he's got left. I feel like Max Scherzer would give you in a game 6.
Yeah, we'll see there. And my World Series pick was funny. These are both of our World Series picks. My World Series pick was the Dodgers. I mean, I won't bring up, I think both of our American League picks. We'll never pick this team for a while to get to the World Series. Pick the Yankees, get to the World Series. We're not picking them for a while yet. So the Dodgers were my pick, but I just think the Braves, and I just think they've been resilient all year. They've been counted out all year, and I just think even if they lose tonight, I still think they win the series. And you made a really good point about how the front office believed in this team. When Acuna went down, they very easily could have been sellers, but they went out and really retooled their outfield. Went out and got a Jock right after immediately after they got Jock Peterson. They went out and got Jorge Soler. They went out and got They went out and got Eddie Adam Duvall and Eddie Rosario. Eddie Rosario, I mean, both of those guys have contributed. Duvall's contributed. Solar's contributed. And Peterson contributed. And Rosario got that humongous hit in game. He got the game-winning hit in game 2. So really, big credit. I give a lot of credit to that Braves front office. And I just think they've been counting out all year, and that's why I got them win the series in 6 right now.
Yeah, I could see it. I'd love to see them win Game 6. I'd love to see the Braves get back to the World Series. They've been close so many times. It feels like in this decade or in the century. But yeah, like all the they've had some big hits from guys that they brought in. I still think the Dodgers just have a little bit too much for them. I think they find a way to win this thing in 7 games. It'd be Buehler again, probably going Game 7. So you feel like too, like he's going to give a much better performance, even though against Morton, who's a really good big game pitcher. I feel like Dodgers will find a way to win in Game 7 on the road.
It'll be interesting to see what happens between these two teams. Obviously, the rematch of the NLCS. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens in the ALCS. But we got to shift over to the NFL. But before that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home service for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade the Cesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
That is Mosquito Shield. Make sure you sign up and tell them that Sports Talk with R&J sent you, and you will get a discount. So make sure you sign up for Mosquito Shield. So we're going to call a little bit of an audible here. I know I'm going to throw Justin a little bit of a curve here. We got a comment from Xanders, saying, "How about those Cowboys?" So even though the Cowboys are on a bye week, and we got to cater to our audience. I know you might not like this, Justin. We got to cater to our audience. We got to talk a little bit about the Cowboys being 5-1. And to me, I am surprised about. We'll get into the week 7 games. Don't worry about it. But we'll talk about the Cowboys starting 5-1. Obviously, beat the Patriots on Sunday. 35-29 in overtime. And I feel like I think this Cowboys team is a Super Bowl contender. I think not because of the head coach, but I think because of the talent on the roster. I think Dak Prescott's played really well. I think Ezekiel Elliott's found his form. I think this offensive line, Tyron Smith, that's been a key. Tyron Smith has found his form. He's played really. He's back to that. He's back at that elite level. This is the best he's played in 4 or 5 years. He's been playing really well. And obviously the biggest reason is because of the way they played on the defensive side of the ball. Randy Gregory has been really good, as you saw in that game, as he got to Mac Jones a couple times. Micah Parsons, really good at middle linebacker, and Trayvon Diggs. I don't think he's as great as people think he is, but he's still a very good corner. Yes, he got beat by Kendrick Bourne on Sunday, but still a very good corner. And the Cowboys right now sitting at 5-1. And the big question we got to ask, are they for real? I hate to say this as a Giants fan. I think they're for real. Justin, do you agree?
First, that was a good game, Sanders Sunday. That was a tough one. Another heartbreaking loss to the Patriots. It's just, I think, already like 3 combined, 3 this year, and I don't know if that's happened in the last 20 years. They don't lose many like that. And the Cowboys, for real, I'm still, though they're a very good team, especially offensively, and I think the defense did improve to get better. I thought they had some mistakes, like Diggs getting beat there by Bourne. That could have been costly. I still and I know they played the Buccaneers tough, but like the Buccaneers, had 3 or 4 turnovers that game. Like I don't know if they're getting. I think I could see them winning a game or 2 the postseason. I don't see them beating like a team like Tampa Bay. I think they could score with them. If Tampa Bay can't get healthy in the secondary, I definitely think Dallas could beat them. I don't think that Tom Brady though would lose a game to Dak Prescott in a big game, but and I see Dak's definitely has
Dak.
In the MVP category.
He says Dak has to be in the MVP category. Most yards against Bills since. I think he is. Dak has proved that he is clearly a top 10 quarterback these last couple of years. He's been really good. I mean, he was, and really, if you could argue, without Dak Prescott, the Cowboys might be 3-3 because they could have definitely lost that Chargers game. He drove them down the field to get the game-winning field goal, and they definitely would have lost that game on Sunday. So yes, Dak, you do have to put Dak in that MVP conversation with the Lamar Jackson and with the Kyler Murray. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been phenomenal. It helps, with all the talent they have around him. There's no question. As long as he can get those guys the ball, this offense would be really good. And then you got the 2-headed monster in the backfield, Elliott and Tony Pollard, that help out as well. Dak the last few years has played really well. Again, obviously before that devastating injury last year was leading the league in passing yards through like week 5. He's been really, really good the last few years. I know I kind of questioned it, before that, should they give him the $40 million, and so far it looks pretty good for Dallas that they should have paid him, and because he's looked really good. This offense is really good, especially in a weak division where they're probably going to win this division by at least 3 games. He has been really good. He should be up there.
Xander makes another point. Defense will only get better when Lawrence comes back. That's another good point. And Gregory's playing good football. You have those 2 edge rushers, then you got Parsons, you got Diggs. You're almost ready to say the Cowboys could potentially, when Lawrence comes back. Right now, I think their defense is up average to above average. But if Lawrence comes back, this might end up being a top 10 defense.
I could see it the way they think. Because they're only going to get better. With Diggs, I think a couple of those, like Sundays kind of fell right into his lap. I think he's going to be a pretty good corner. Parsons, is going to be pretty good. Lawrence, when he gets back, he's one of the better guys, in the entire league. So, I think that as this Dallas defense get better, I really think they do, continue to improve. I think it is a team that could win in the postseason, win a few games. I just haven't seen it the last years from Dallas, and that's why I'm like hesitant. Like I need to see Dallas win a couple games here, you know, in the postseason before I really okay, can this team get to the Super Bowl? I think they're talented enough. I do think so. I just haven't. I just need to see it. I know it's a new coach with McCarthy, but McCarthy won one with Rodgers, which but again, we know he's not the greatest coach in the world, so it'll be interesting. But I definitely do think you have to put Dallas as a title contender because they have so much talent right now, and they're probably going to win 12, maybe 13 games, but this is how bad the division is right now. I don't see them losing to either the Giants, Washington, or Eagles.
Yeah, here's a comment. I fear the Packers more than I fear Tampa, as crazy as it sounds. I don't know if Tampa's secondary will be healthy enough to last the season. Yes, I understand that, but I would fear Tampa more just because they're the defending champions and they have a better defense. And you don't know when the Packers are going to get Jari Alexander back either. So I don't know when they're going to get Zadarius Smith or Jari Alexander back. So I know the Cowboys historically have had trouble with the Packers, but I personally would still fear Tampa more just because they're the defending champs. And if you play Tom Brady in a postseason game, you just can't bet against them, especially with a roster like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so too, because Tampa Bay is going to take that running game away. They're going to make it one-dimensional. Yeah, who knows how healthy the secondary is going to be. Again, if Tampa's still really banged up there, then I could see Dallas getting by them. Because, again, I could see them put up 35 points because the only way you're beating the Bucs is kind of in a shootout, especially in the playoffs. It's pretty hard to slow down Tom Brady in the playoffs in a big spot. So I feel like, that they could put up some points. They could beat them. But, yeah, I think Tampa, they're Super Bowl contenders. That roster they have is really, really good. The defense is, besides, the rushing defense is phenomenal. It's, I think, still the best in the league right now. They're going to make you one-dimensional after the ball. But, yeah, you don't, and again, if Brady's got the ball, too, with under 2 minutes left and they need to score, Tom's not losing that game either. So, yeah, I think you have to fear the Bucs still a little bit more than the Packers. The Packers are still a really good football team as well.
Oh, absolutely. And then don't forget, you got the Rams and the Cardinals. And I think you could argue the Cardinals are probably the best team in the NFC. And the Rams are right there, one of the top three teams in the NFC. But we got to get into week 7, and we'll start with the Thursday night game as the Broncos travel to Cleveland to face the Browns. And this is a game of two teams that are banged up. Broncos lost Alexander Johnson for the season, but the Browns are much more banged up as they're not going to have Kareem Hunt. They might not have they're probably not going to have Jarvis Landry. They might not have Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is cool, though.
What do you say? Nick Chubb's out too? What do you say?
Yeah, I think Nick Chubb's out. And I thought I saw something this morning. Too, that Baker was going to be out as well. I'm trying to.
Baker's out. Baker's officially out. Baker's officially out. It's going to be Case Keenum. Yeah. Case Keenum starting against the Broncos, and but I still think this is going to be a close, competitive game, defensive struggle. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to take the Browns. And thanks, Chubb and Hunt are out. But even without Chubb and Hunt, because I feel like Cleveland's defense, the difference in this game is going to be Cleveland's defense with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are going to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, just like Max Crosby did last week. And I feel like it's going to be a close, low-scoring game, maybe a turnover. Each quarterback turns the ball over once. I think it's a close, competitive game. But I got the Browns beating the Broncos 21-17 on Thursday night. But Justin, can the Broncos D carry them and help them snap their 3-game losing streak?
I could see it with everybody got out, but I do have the Browns winning on Thursday night, 17-13. I think Denver is going to have to force a couple of turnovers against Case Keenum. It's a short week, too, now. Case Keenum probably took most of the first-team reps yesterday. Obviously now is definitely taking all the first-team reps today. So, but, it's a short week for Case Keenum to get ready for this game. It's a good Denver defense. If they can get after him, get a couple of sacks, Arizona did a really good job of that last week against Baker. I could definitely see Broncos having a chance in this game. Their defense really struggled last week against Las Vegas, struggled against the Steelers. They're not playing the Giants, Jags, or Jets anymore. And you've kind of see a little bit more hold, but it's still a really good defense. I see them keeping them in the game, but I just don't see the offense being able to take enough, or their offense taking enough advantage of the Browns. I don't see I don't see their offense being able to do enough against this Cleveland defense. I think they play a lot better this week.
we got a matchup in the Meadowlands of a guy that the Giants could have taken in Sam Darnold as he brings his Carolina Panthers up to the Meadowlands to face the Giants. And the Giants had an absolutely terrible week last week against the Rams, pretty much in all phases. Yes, the defense started off the game pretty well, but the offense was absolutely terrible. Then the defense in the second half, from the middle of the second quarter on, was absolutely terrible. And I think in this game, just because of the Panther injuries, just because Christian McCaffrey's not going to play, I mean, Stephon Gilmore's back at practice, but even if he plays, he's going to be rusty. The Giants are going to have injuries. Obviously, Tony's going to be out. Andrew Thomas was just put on IR. Saquon Barkley probably won't play. We don't know if Kenny Galladay is going to play. I do think the Giants defense forces a turnover from Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold, he'll throw that one terrible interception every game. So I think that happens in this game. But I do think Daniel Jones has a really bad turnover in this game too. I think it's a close, competitive game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the team that knows how to win these games, who knows how to win these games. And I feel like a team like the Carolina Panthers knows how to win these games more than a team like the New York Giants does. And that's why I got the Panthers beating the Giants 27-20. But Justin, can the Giants D and Daniel Jones bounce back for them to pull the upset?
It's going to be tough. I got the Panthers going on the road, winning this game 23-17. Both teams are very banged up. Sam Darnold, again, he had 12 completions going that final drive last week, and they went down 99 yards to tie that thing up and go to overtime. I think Chuba Hubbard could run the ball this week. I think he had a big game on the ground because it sounds like that's going to be more their emphasis instead of the passing game, which has really struggled the last couple of weeks. I think the Giants do get some pressure on them because Carolina's offensive line isn't great. So, yeah, I think Darnold probably throws an interception too, but can Daniel Jones do take advantage? You just lost Andrew Thomas, as you mentioned. Carolina, I think, has 16 sacks of the year. I think they're gonna get after the Giants. You saw what the Rams were able to do that last week. Daniel Jones was hit hard a couple times. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than it was last week. But I see Carolina figuring out a way to get this thing done on the road. And I think their defense makes enough plays. Carolina's defense to win this game on the road. I had the Panthers win this game 23-17.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could see, because the way the Giants are playing, I could see them getting blown out. And I mean, it's another story for another day for the way they've been struggling. I mean, their jobs are definitely on the line there. Joe Judge's job is definitely on. And he uses to come from Xander. Giants lose this game. It's safe to call their season over. Plan to draft and look for. I agree with the first point. They lose this game, their season's definitely over because that's another loss to another NFC team, and they'd already have 6 losses in their first 7 games. So first point, I agree. Second point, I feel like it depends on how Daniel Jones plays because there could be a chance on Sunday because of because the defense hasn't played well this year and with all the injuries that Daniel Jones could play a good game and the Giants could lose. That happened against Washington earlier in the season. So I would not. At the second point, I'm still not. I still haven't came up with as a Giants fan. I still haven't came to a decision on the quarterback. First point from Xander, really good point because that's 100% true. Second point, I still have not came to a decision on the quarterback. And even if he plays well this week and they lose, I still won't have a decision. I still will not be saying get rid of the quarterback. I mean, yes, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sold he's the franchise guy, but I'm not giving up on him. Even if they lose close and he plays well, I'm not going to be giving up on him.
Yeah, I agree with Tanner's first point. I think it's gonna be 1-6. Wouldn't this be like the third straight year you're 1-6?
It would be the third. It would be the third. It would be the fourth time in 5 years we'd be 1-6. Fourth time in 5 years.
Wow.
And it'd be the third time in the Dave Gettleman era. So if this, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah. Okay, because I saw 2 since 2017. They have the worst record, 19-51 in the whole league, and that's worse than the Jets. That's again. That's not, the Giants should not be there. Then my last point I was going to say about Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones hasn't been one of the bigger problems. I think he's played pretty well. I know last week he had a rough one, but he was coming off a concussion, playing a really good Rams team. He was put in a tough, last week was a kind of tough spot for him. And then I think you look at next year's draft class 2 quarterback. I don't know how many franchise quarterbacks are out there right now, besides Matt Corral. Malik Willis has played well, but again, I haven't been overly impressed with him. I don't know if you would find a franchise quarterback next year in the first round. So, and I think the verdict's still out on Daniel Jones, but he has.
Jace wants to tank for Thibs, and if we could get Kayvon Thibodeau, That would be nice. But the problem is, if we're that bad, if we only have like 1 or 2 wins, we're not bringing the quarterback back. This is the NFL. You don't bring your quarterback back if you have 1 or 2 wins in the NFL in 2021. You're not bringing your quarterback back if you have 2 wins. So it's a very, very slim chance the Giants get Kayvon Thibodeau.
Probably, because too, it's a new GM, and the new GM is going to want his own quarterback. Picking off your point there, so yeah, that'd be great for you guys, Thibodeau, to bring that edge rusher there. But yeah, the new GM would probably go after a quarterback, I feel like, to get his own guys. But that would be a great pickup for you guys. Even though, yeah, it would not be great to finish 1-16 or 2-15 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we finish 1 or 15 and 2-16, we finished like 1-16 or 2-15, we're getting a new quarterback. That's for sure. But as you brought up, Justin, with the slow starts, with for the 3 of those 4 years, if we start 1-6 on Sunday, 3 of those 4 years would be with Dave Gettleman. That's why Dave Gettleman's got to be fired. And I said it last week. Why are you drafting Saquon Barkley with the 2nd overall pick when you can take Josh Allen? He's a great player, but he can't stay healthy. Josh Allen would have been definitely a better value pick. You go out and get Kenny spend $18 million on Kenny Galladay, but he can't stay on the field, and he has an injury history. Yes, if you just got hurt that 1 year, okay, that's bad luck, just like with Andrew Thomas. But if the guy has a history of not being able to stay healthy, that's on the GM. What's going on with the Giants? The number one reason the Giants are struggling is because of Dave Gettleman.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I know this is the Giants' way. It always has been that they always have to bring in guys that they know and that's kind of been in their organization. I know that's their philosophy, but I think you got to change some of that style because, I know he brought Carolina to the Super Bowl, but it's been there really hasn't been much positive. I guess last year at the end, the way they finished was a positive. But again, all momentum that he had is completely gone. And Galladay, the injury history, but if he was able to stay healthy, again, it would have been a nice pickup. But he couldn't stay healthy. The Toney draft, again, I know he's hurt now, but the last few weeks he looks like he could be a really, really good wide receiver. Barkley, again, it's tough to draft a running back nowadays at 2nd overall. It's unless that running back's going to be Bo Jackson or or Barry Sanders, again, it's too risky. It's too risky to draft one of those guys nowadays, especially Barkley. It's just been unfortunate. He just hasn't been able to stay on the field. So, Gettleman, it's time to go. I don't think they'll get rid of him in the middle of the season, but 100% he's got to go at the end of the year. There's no possible way he should have a job next year.
Absolutely. But we got to move on to your team, and your team's got a divisional matchup in Fox at home against the Jets. And we know this is one of the few teams the Patriots been able to beat the last 2 years. The one thing they've been consistent with is they've been able to beat the Jets, and I think that continues on Sunday. I feel like they force a turnover or 2 from Zach Wilson. I feel like they'll let Mac Jones. This is another which we'll talk about. They'll let Mac Jones manage this game, not they'll let him manage this game. I think they'll have success on the ground with Damian Harris. I think they won't score a ton of touchdowns, but they'll kick field goals because they're winning the game and they'll play not to lose. But I do think the Patriots will come away with another win over the Jets. I got them winning 23-10 over the Jets on Sunday. But Justin, can Zach Wilson have a bounce back game and help the Jets get their 2nd win of the season?
I don't think he will. I got the Pats win this game 24-13. I don't think Wilson's going to throw 4 INTs this week, but I think the Patriots force them to make a couple. I think the Jets averaged 5 yards to carry last week 2 against them. I think they could have some success again running the ball against them. But again, I see Zach Wilson not being able to do enough in this game. Again, the Patriots secondary has not been very good the last few weeks. I get they're pretty much old defense. J.C. Jackson's been consistent, I guess, at times. Matthew Judon's really been the only consistent guy in this defense all year. I think Matthew Judon has a couple sacks in this game. He's been a phenomenal pickup for us. That's really about been it for this defense. But I think they do enough in Zach Wilson. They force a couple turnovers, and they finally win their first home game. They'll be 1-4 at home. 5 of your first 7 games are home, and you're going 1-4. So, good job.
That's just crazy. The funny thing is the team is 2-4, But it's not Mac Jones' fault. I thought he played pretty well against the Dolphins. It was okay. He was pretty good against the Jets. Yes, against the Saints, that was by far his worst game. Didn't play that poorly against the Bucs. Really, in 5 of the 6 games, he's played pretty well. The problem has been the roster construction of this team. I think really the one free agent, you said it, that's worked out has been Matthew Judon. The rest really, Hunter Henry's been okay, but the rest haven't. Jonas Smith and Nelson Aguilar have been total waste of money. They've been absolutely terrible. Jalen Mills, the same thing. He's been terrible too. He got burnt on that play at the end of the game by CeeDee Lamb. Those guys have been absolutely terrible. I feel like Belichick has done a poor job really putting this roster together. He didn't draft well. That's why Brady left. And then he tried to patch up in free agency, and he really hasn't done that too. And also, I think, here's what I don't get about Belichick. Last year, they went 7-9, but they had a really bad, didn't have a good quarterback, and I didn't think he did that bad of a job coaching. 7-9 with a washed up Cam Newton and not a great roster. He did to win 7 games, stole a couple games against Baltimore and Arizona. You still could say Belichick's one of the top coaches in the league. This year, I hate to say it, I feel like Bill's starting to lose his way a little bit. And the thing I don't get is how do you want Mac Jones to be your starting quarterback and you don't have confidence in him, and you don't have confidence in him in certain situations? The 4th down against the Buccaneers, you kick the field goal, and then you miss it. And even if you make that field goal, you're giving the ball back to Tom Brady. And then last week, which made no sense to me, is 4th down and 3, he goes for it. He goes for it at midfield. He doesn't go for it. He punts at midfield. This is the NFL in 2021. You cannot punt when you have the ball at midfield. You got to go for it there. I knew when that ball was when they get the ball back to Dak Prescott, and I text you, I said, game over. Cowboys are going to win. You just can't do the way your defense was playing. There's no way you could have given the ball back to Dak Prescott there.
Yeah, I when you told me, I completely agree with you. And I would love to see that. I know.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that.
Enough guys.
Here's the problem. Are they going to be able to get that talent? Because that's what happened with Brady. That's why Brady left, because they failed to get that talent. In the 2018 draft, they passed on Nick Chubb and they got Sony Michel, and Sony Michel has been traded. In 2019, they could have had A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and DK Metcalf. And guess what they ended up with? N'Keal Harry, who's been a major bust. Major bust. The college scouting of the Patriots has been total trash. That's why they're in this situation. And that's the thing is, that's why I said to Justin after the game on Sunday, I think Trey Lance is in a better situation than Mac Jones, because I feel like Mac Jones has the talent and a little bit better offensive coaching. I think Mac Jones. I don't mind the way Mac Jones is playing. The problem is I don't know if I could trust the Patriots to put a good enough team around him.
No, I don't either. And I know I texted you we should fire McDaniels, and I think I know you told me I went a little bit too far. Which after a few days, yes, I probably went too far. Even though McDaniels I'm getting fed up with his play calling because it's ridiculous. They don't give him.
They say the schedule is bad enough. But the problem is they've missed on so many. They don't draft well. They don't draft well at all. That's the problem with the Patriots, and that was an issue even in the second half of Brady's career. The thing for them is that Brady was so good he was able to cover up all their poor drafting. That's what happens to the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm no offense to Mac Jones, but now that you got to be able to draft well. And as we've said, right now I don't trust the Patriots are going to get it right in the draft.
No, I don't either. And again, it's disappointing. Yeah, you would think at this moment their schedule is going to get tougher in the next couple of weeks, and they're not going to win too many games. I don't think. I could see them being around 500, hovering around there. But they haven't drafted well at all. Mac Jones so far looks like a good draft pick. So far. Again, I hope I don't jinx him here, but yeah, he hasn't been the problem. And the thing is, it's just like he's not your problem. Like, just let him air it out. Like, and I know Diggs kind of got beat there and tried to make the hero play and try to get another interception, but they had the deep play to Kendrick Bourne. Why don't you let him air it out again? I think he's completing like 72% of his passes, something like that. Like, he's playing well, and I know you're playing dink and dunk football, but again, like, what has he shown you that you don't like? And I just don't get why they're just kind of, like they opened it up more last year for Cam Newton than they are for Mac, and I just frustrating to watch for him. And they're
you guys are basically saying, welcome to the 25-year. If they don't get a general manager that knows how to scout college talent, that could very easily be the case. They could have a good quarterback in Mac Jones and be, around hovering around 500 a lot of years. That's what happened, with the Cowboys in Romo's prime. They hovered around 500 a lot. I could see the same thing could happen with the Patriots.
I could too. I don't know. It builds here for another 5-6 years, and he just keeps it. The draft just kind of keeps. It's just mediocre. They're not really finding a ton of top tier talent. They're missing out. Then I could completely agree, and I see it because again, you got the Bills right now that have look good. Like you're gonna probably be in their second tier as long as Josh Allen's gonna be there at the moment. Again, that the Jets aren't gonna be in the basement forever. Dolphins taking some steps back this year, but yeah, like the division's not gonna be cakewalk like it was the last like 18 years. Like it was with Brady here. So I could see it. Unfortunately, I hope that does not happen, but. Yeah, and again, I like Bill. I've always liked Bill, but yeah, I wish at times he'd give up the GM role, just kind of just focusing more on the coaching. But I just don't see him doing that. But then my last point I want to say in Bill, and I think this is an issue with defense. I was listening to Tom Curran last week. Now he was saying this was the rumor going around. It's not official. It's not total. It's just a rumor right now, but he was saying that Bill's calling plays, his son Steve's calling plays, Matt Patricia may be calling some plays, and Jared Mayo may be calling some plays too. Like it sounds because there's been times where it's like personnel out there, they have no idea what they're doing. So it seems like it seems very possible that there could be 4 guys, and just everything's just confusing because it really seems like it at times. It just miscommunication. So. That was a rumor, but I tend to believe that that's very possible because he really likes Matt Patricia, so I could see him having a big impact in the defense. So that's what I've heard. And I think that could really be easily the cause of what's going on. There's just too many voices right now.
Yeah, one guy calls plays. That's it. They got. Even if it has to be Bill, one guy calls plays. That's it. That's the way it has to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree. It should be. And I just think it just messes everybody up, especially with a lot of new pieces. And I completely agree. It's got to be one voice. And it maybe sounds like it's not. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So I don't think that rumor's outrageous.
Alrighty. So we're going to get to our best bets. And this week for me, my first one is I got the Browns. I think it's now -3 versus the Broncos. I think even though with all the injuries the Browns have, short week for the Broncos, I think it's going to be a tough game for them. Even though I think the game will be really close, I still think the Browns are going to cover. I got the Eagles +3 over the Raiders. The Raiders had a good week last week. I'm just still not buying them. And I feel like the Eagles are going to learn from what they did on that last drive against Tampa Bay, start to run the ball. I do think Miles Sanders has a big game this week. And I do think they go to Vegas and pull the upset. And my last one is the Colts against the Niners. I think the Colts continue to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. I think the Niners, they don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be. I feel like it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo, but we'll see who their starting quarterback's going to be. And I don't love a team who does not sure who their starting quarterback's going to be and doesn't really. And I know Trey Lance is their guy, but they're not sure who their starter's going to be this week. So I got the Colts on Sunday night +4 over the Niners. Justin, your best bets.
My best bets of the week, I have the Titans now up to 5.5 at home against the Chiefs. Again, the Chiefs, I thought, yeah, they won 31-13 last week, but I thought Mahomes and Tyreek Hill kind of bailed them out. Taylor Heineke had a terrible interception in that game. I know the Titans, they're coming off a big win, emotional win on a Monday night. Yeah, short week. But I trust Tennessee's defense to get a stop more than I do the Chiefs. I think Derrick Henry runs all over the Chiefs. I don't think they get to stop. I think he easily has over 100 yards in this game. I like the Raiders at home. I really like the way their offense kind of opened things up, and I thought Derek Carr had a really, really nice game. They spread the ball around. I like the play calling much better when they had Gruden. I think the gameplay was much better. Eagles coming off a tough loss in Thursday Night Football. I see Jalen Hurts having some success, in this game, and I see him keeping it close. The Raiders haven't been great at home since moving to Vegas, but I see the Raiders find a way to win this game at home. I like the way they're playing. I don't really like the Eagles secondary, and I think Derek Carr can put up some points against the team. And then I'm going to take the Texans at 17.5 against the Cardinals. I know that the Texans stink. And I know this isn't really an NFL thing, but I think this could be, a sandwich game and a look ahead. You just came off a blowout win to the Browns. You have Green Bay coming in on Thursday night. then I know the Cardinals have been kind of dealing with some COVID issues with the coaching staff. I feel like the Texans, 17.5 is a lot in the NFL. I don't think the Texans are winning this game, but I think the Texans could keep this thing close. The Cardinals did struggle with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know they ended up winning by 12, but it took them about 3.5 quarters to get that thing going. So I'll take my shot here at the Houston Texans covering against the Cardinals.
You really do hate Cliff Kingsbury. You are not a Cliff Kingsbury guy. You do not like Cliff Kingsbury. No. I know you're not sold on the Cardinals. They're 6-0. You're not sold on the Cardinals because of that.
No, I know their roster is very good. This team may be too good for him to mess up, but I really can't take Cliff Kingsbury in that game to take the points. I don't trust him enough. He's just offensively genius, defensively clueless.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with the Cardinals and the Texans this week. But we got to get to the slate of games, and this is one of your best bets. You got the Titans covering, and you got the Titans winning the game. So I think this is going to be could be the best game of Week 7. I think it's going to be a back and forth game, just like it was when they played in the regular season 2 years ago. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big week. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a big week. It's going to be up and down the field, but I'm going with Patrick Mahomes over Ryan Tannehill. I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I got the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Tennessee Titans 35-31. We'll skip what we already got what Justin has in this game. Justin's got the Titans winning 31-28. And just explain why. Yeah, I know you explained in the best bets, but just explain why you got the Titans winning 31-28.
Yeah, I get Titans win this game. Derrick Henry runs all over them. I know Mahomes totally different, better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. I just can't trust this Chiefs defense to get a stop. I think they control the ball. I don't know who the Chiefs are going to have to cover Julio Jones or A.J. Brown. I think they just both go off. I know the Titans aren't good defensively either, but I'd rather take the Titans. I've seen, the Titans made a big stop Monday night. I trust the Titans D more right now than I do the Chiefs. I just don't see them getting any stops in this game. I'll take my chance with the Tennessee Titans at home.
We got an NFC matchup in Green Bay as the Washington football team heads to Green Bay to face the Packers. And in this game, I feel like Green Bay, I know Washington's been getting pressure, doing a better job of getting pressure on the quarterback, but the back seven for Washington has been terrible all season long. The front four has not been as good as we thought it should have been. And I think that Aaron Jones is a big game. I think Aaron Rodgers throws two or three touchdowns. I think the defense forces a turnover from Taylor Heineke. And I get the Packers beating the Washington football team 31-20, 31-17 on Sunday. But Justin, can Taylor Heineke make enough plays, and can the Washington football team force mistakes from Aaron Rodgers for them to pull the upset?
I don't think so. Heineke had a horrible interception last week. I think it may have to go back to Fitzpatrick whenever he comes back and he's healthy. Really hasn't gotten the job done right now. So I don't think they're going to be able to against the Packers defense, which been all right, been pretty good, but I can't trust Washington. I don't think Washington. Taylor Heineke's not winning this game against Aaron Rodgers. I have the Packers 28-17. I think Washington is going to get some pressure on them. I think the last few weeks, they have been better at that. But at the secondary, I think they got the Mahomes last week like 3 times. I think 2 sacks 2 weeks ago. I just don't, they could get the Aaron Rodgers game, but there's just nobody in the secondary though. If he's got more than 3-4 seconds, I don't see, I don't know how the Washington's going to be able to cover Devontae Adams or in this game. I think Packers do win this thing by 2 scores. I could maybe see them get an interception, maybe a fumble, but other than that, I don't think they have much of a chance to win this game. Just Green Bay.
NFC North matchup is in Baltimore. We've got the 4-2 Bengals facing the 5-1 Ravens, and I think this is going to be a close, competitive game. I think that Joe Burrow is going to play well. I think Lamar Jackson is going to play well. I think the Bengals will contain the Ravens' running game, but I think the difference is going to be, I think Lamar Jackson is going to make plays against that Bengals secondary, and I think that the Ravens defense is going to force a turnover from Joe Burrow, and I think that ultimately is the difference. And I got the Ravens beating the Bengals 28-20. But Justin, can Joe Burrow keep up with Lamar Jackson and put the Bengals in first place in the AFC North?
I think they have a chance. Not very likely. I have the Ravens win this game 27-21. I just think Burrow's going to have to run for his life most of this game. I think the Ravens have really kind of figured things out pretty much since like the second half of the Monday night game. They held a really good Chargers team to 6 points last week. I know it was an East Coast trip for the Chargers, but they played really well. Yeah, I think he's going to make some plays. They have a lot of good receivers. Obviously, the Ravens, really banged up in the back end this year. But I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up with Lamar Jackson in this game. It's going to be too much, and I have the Baltimore Ravens win this game 27-21 at home.
We got the Falcons heading to Miami to face the Dolphins. And here's one thing I don't understand. Why don't the Dolphins have a bye week? Why don't they have a bye week? I don't understand that. You just played in London. Why don't you have a bye week? This happened one other time to the Jaguars 4 years ago, and then they end up losing to the Jets. Why don't you have a bye week after you're playing in London? I don't get that at all. And that's probably the biggest reason why I'm picking the Falcons to win this game. And I think Matt Ryan has a big day. I think he has a big day. I think Kyle Pitts has a really good game. I think Calvin Ridley has a pretty good game. And I got the Falcons winning this game 27-24. I think Tua will play okay. I think he'll play pretty well, but I just think this is a major scheduling issue by the NFL why the Dolphins have to play a game. The Dolphins play a game in London, then they got to play again the next week. I think that makes no sense to me. But I got the Falcons winning 27-24. But Justin, can Tua bounce back and give the Dolphins their second win?
Yeah, I got the Falcons 24-21. I'm with you. I don't know why they do not have a bye week. This doesn't really make any sense. I don't get it. I don't know why, because every other team got it. 3 others seems like most years they do. So it's weird. I don't get it, but. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the Falcons really should be getting points on the road against anybody. But again, in this spot, the Dolphins lose a tough one over in London against Jacksonville last week. I see Atlanta. Yeah, Matt Ryan be able to put some points. But yeah, I just think coming up the loss, I think Tua played well. I think he'll have some yards against not a very good Atlanta defense here. But just not nearly enough against Matt Ryan. I just think the Falcons have a little bit too much offensively for Tua to keep up with in this game. And I'll take the Falcons on the road 24-21.
Got a big matchup down in Tampa as the Bears travel down to Tampa to face Tom Brady and the Bucs. And we don't forget, the Bears did beat the Bucs last year in Chicago in that Thursday night game. But I think it's going to be a different story this year. I think Tom Brady's going to have a big game, throw 2 or 3 touchdown passes. Robert Quinn is not going to be playing for the Bears. I feel like the Bucs are going to – they've been getting pressure the last couple of weeks. I think they're going to get pressure on Justin Fields, force a turnover. And I got the Buccaneers winning this game big. I got the Bucs going to 6-1, beating the Bears 31-13. But Justin, can the Bears D contain the Bucs offense for them to get their second straight win against them?
It's going to be very tough. I don't think it's going to happen. I got the Bucs winning this game 31-17. I think they would have to keep the Buccaneers under like 20 points. I just don't see that happening. Tom Brady's not going to let that happen with all the weapons they have. I think the Bears could get some pressure on them. Tampa's line's pretty good. The offensive line's pretty good, but I just don't see it being able to do enough. I think the Bears D already has over 20 sacks on the year. But I just don't see them in the secondary having too much success against Tom Brady in this one. It's a revenge game for Brady. Usually plays pretty well in those games too. So I see the Buccaneers winning this game by 2 scores.
We got the Texans traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals, and I think this is the blowout of the weekend. I think the Cardinals could arguably be the best team in football, and I think the Texans are clearly the worst team in football. I don't care if the Lions don't ever win. The Lions are better than the Texans. The Texans are the worst team in football. That's why I got the Cardinals winning 38-10. Justin, you probably agree with me that you got the Cardinals winning. But we all know that you have the Texans covering now.
Yep, I got 30-17. I think Texans keep it close. I think Mills makes some plays in this game. I know it's a revenge game for Watt and Hopkins, but I just see this game. Arizona kind of looks ahead a bit. I see them getting ready for Green Bay, and Houston, plays hard and keeps his game interesting. I know they got blown out by Indianapolis, but I think they keep this thing close. I'll take my chances with the Texans covering.
Going from one revenge game to another revenge game, we got Matthew Stafford hosting his former team in the Detroit Lions, and obviously we got Jared Goff facing his former team in the Los Angeles Rams. And I do think in the first – you saw Goff was called out by Dan Campbell last week after the game. So I do think Goff comes out with a little bit of fire this week. I think they moved the ball a little bit early in the game. But eventually I feel like the Rams running game with Sony Michel and Dontrell Henderson and the Rams passing game with Matthew Stafford, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp, they take over. That's why I got the Rams winning 31-16 in LA on Sunday. But Justin, can Jared Goff get revenge against his former team?
I don't think that's happening. I got the Rams 31-20. Yeah, Dan Campbell, I've never really seen a head coach kind of call out a play like that out in front of the media. So it'll be interesting how Goff responds to that. Yeah, I think the Lions play hard in this game. I think, they keep it closer at half. I just think this Rams defense is just going to be way too much. I know the Lions kind of banged up on the offensive line right now, so I just don't see the I see that pass rush with Aaron Donald, which is having a couple sacks in this game. I think it could be a long day for the Lions trying to get something going. I think Stafford has a big day, but yeah, I think Goff plays all right. I think he plays as well as he can against a really good Rams defense against and he doesn't really have a ton around him, but I'm gonna take the line or the Rams win 31-20.
We got our best bet. We got our two best bets this week. Is we got the Eagles traveling to Vegas to play the Raiders. We said in our best bet, one of my best bets was the Eagles. One of your best bets was the Raiders. I got the Eagles. Winning the game by 3 points. I got the 4 points. I got the Eagles winning at 27-23 because of the running game of Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders has done a really, really good job running the football. No. They did a really good job running the football last week at the end of the game, and I think they continue to do that. I think they try to find an identity on offense the Eagles don't have. I think Jalen Hurts has a good game. And for the Raiders, I do think Derek Carr is a good game, and I do think he has that one bad turnover in this game. That's why I got the Eagles pulling the upset. But, Justin, you have the Raiders as one of your best bets, and why do you have them as one of your best bets?
Yeah, I got the Raiders win this game 27-20. I think, the Raiders get a couple of sacks as well against Jalen Hurts. As I mentioned, I really like their offense. I think they could get it going with Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, been in the backfield. It's a good receiving back. I see a couple big plays against the secondary, and I think the Eagles keep this thing close. I think, Jalen Hurts does put up some points in this game, but I just don't think it's enough. And I think I really like the way the Raiders looked offensively. I think that continues against the Eagles this Sunday.
We got the Sunday night game in Santa Clara as the Colts travel to Santa Clara to face the 49ers. And I think this is a close competitive game, and I'm going to go with an upset here. I feel like the Colts are going to force Garoppolo to turn the ball over once or twice, and they're going to capitalize on that. I feel like the Niners will get pressure on Wentz, but I think Jonathan Taylor is a big game. I think he has another really good game against this defense, and I'm going with an upset here. And this is one of my best bets. I got the Colts beating the Niners 23-20. But, Justin, can the Niners force enough turnovers from Wentz to snap their 3-game losing streak?
I think they can. And Wentz has been really good, especially the last 2 weeks. Played well that Monday night game against Baltimore. Played really well against, a bad Houston team, but I liked what I saw out of him last week. He's only got 1 reception on the year, 1 fumble. He's done a good job of protecting the football. And the Niners only have 2 takeaways. I know last year they only had 3 or 4 interceptions all year. They weren't great at that last year. I feel like this week they do force Carson Wentz to make an interception. I think it's a big one. I think it could be, a big one late in the game. I think he makes a mistake, and I think the Niners got to take advantage of it. The Niners coming off a bye as well, so I think they're kind of well prepared in this game. I think they do enough at home here on the Sunday night to get the win 24-21.
We got the Monday night game in Seattle as the Saints travel to Seattle to face the Seahawks, and this is going to be a pretty interesting game between these two teams. I think that the Saints will have success running the football against Seattle's defense with Alvin Kamara. I do think there's a turnover on each side. I think Geno Smith turns the ball over once, and I do think that Jameis Winston turns the ball over once. But at the end of the day, I feel like Jameis Winston is going to be the guy who makes less mistakes than Geno Smith, and that's why I got the Saints to go into 4-2, beating the Seahawks 24-17. But Justin, can Geno Smith outplay Jalen Smith for the Seahawks to get their 3rd win of the season?
I think the Seahawks keep this thing close. It's a tough place to go to. I think they play. I think they keep close. Play hard at home. But I have the Saints win this game 23-20. I think Geno Smith could have some, again, I think he does make that turnover too that could hurt him. But I think their offense, or I think Seattle's offense, does struggle. It's a good Saints defense. They're coming off a bye as well. The Saints coming off a bye, so I think Geno could have a rough one, really trying to get things going. He's got to protect the football. I don't know if he will. I think he'll make turnover too, but I think could maybe see some he can run the ball, but I don't. It didn't really seem like they did that a lot with him. I think Jameis Winston makes enough plays though. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Alvin Kamara in the backfield has a big game. Seattle hasn't been great stopping the run, but I feel like Seattle's a team that's again, Russell Wilson's a huge loss, but I think talent wise, I think that they play hard at home on a Monday night. I think they keep it close, but I just don't think they have enough to win and knock off the Saints right now.
That should be an interesting game. It should be an interesting week 7. But we got to move on to the NBA, and Ben Simmons is continuing to be a headache in Philadelphia. But before we talk about that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Attention all basketball fans. CMG Sports presents the Posting Up Podcast, where Lucas Boldick, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay discuss the latest news and topics throughout the NBA. So, if you have a love for basketball, make sure you check out the Posting Up Podcast, live every Tuesday and Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also available for download on every podcast platform.
So the Sixers season is off to a rough start as Ben Simmons was kicked out of practice. Yesterday because of a spat he had with Doc Rivers, and he's been suspended now for the first game for the Philadelphia 76ers. So this is just a situation in Philadelphia at this point. I know the Sixers want to get the right value, but at this point, to end this distraction, they got to end up trading him. The problem is it's the contract. It's an untradeable contract. What he's making right now, no team's going to want it for a totally overrated player. And I called this. Ben Simmons is a completely overrated player. He can't shoot threes. Yes, he's decent, good defensively. Yes, he could distribute the ball, but he can't shoot threes. And in today's NBA, if you want to be an elite guard, you gotta be a really, really good 3-point shooter. And he's not. And at this point, this thing has gotten so bad. The Sixers got to trade him sooner than later.
Absolutely. Again, he's acting like a complete baby. It's ridiculous. I don't know. You saw the video the other day. He's got his cell phone's in his pocket in the middle of practice. He walks away from the huddle at the end of practice. Early. He's acting like he wants to just get to the point where they just get rid of him for nothing, or they're just so sick and tired of him. But and just treat him for whatever, if it's for, $1 at this point. So, again, it's just all this problem just stems from a guy that just for whatever reason just really hasn't tried to improve his game. It seems like that's all he has to do. If I'm a GM or a coach of another organization, I don't know why I would want this guy on my team if he's going to act this way. Again, you haven't really seen that this guy has improved his game much at all. So, it's horrible. They have to get rid of him as soon as possible. But it's completely ridiculous the way he's acting. It's very unprofessional. And it just I think what Joel Embiid said. We're not here to babysit him or whatever. Again, just complete disaster in this locker room. And you got to trade him for whatever you can get. But I just don't know who's going to give up anything for him right now. You're not going to get much value, but I think at this point, you just got to take whatever with this guy. It's bad.
Absolutely. And Joel Embiid made the right comment. We're not here to babysit him. You're not here to babysit him. The guy is totally underachieved. He's not gotten in the gym. He's not learned to jump. He's not learned to – he has the talent to be one of the top players in this league. This guy just learned to have a 3-point shot. I remember his rookie year. I'm saying if this guy develops a 3-point shot, this guy's going to be amazing. This guy's going to be unbelievable. But he never did. He didn't in college. And what was telling in college is he was on a team that didn't even make the NCAA tournament. So that was very, very telling in college. You probably knew – You probably knew that Ben Simmons was. You probably knew Ben Simmons wasn't going to be that great, even watching him in college. I bet you knew.
No, I thought with the talent he had, again at 6'10", I thought if he could improve his game, he could be one. I totally agree with you. I thought he was going to be one of the best players. He just never did that. And I think it just stems from he was like the first really great player in Australia. He comes over, and I just think all the talent he had, everybody kind of just patted on the back, and I don't think he's really faced too much criticism, and I don't think he really knows how to handle the criticism. And I think that's been a big problem. And yeah, that LSU team too, they had a top 5 recruiting class, I believe, top 5, top 10. They went like 15-15. They were mediocre, and they had a lot of talent to at least make the NCAA tournament. They couldn't do that. They couldn't close out a lot of close games, and that was an issue too. I remember watching. They couldn't really close out close games. He could not hit the late shot late in games. He didn't really want the ball late in games. I did see that part where it did kind of concern me, but. Yeah, I did think he had all the talent in the world because it's not every day you see a 6'10" point guard that but hasn't been able to develop himself.
No, total waste of talent. It just shows you can be that talented, but there's a difference between talented and good, and Ben Simmons is the difference between talented and good and great. Talented, he's good. He's still good because of how he plays defensively. How good he is defensively, but Ben Simmons is the difference between talented and great.
Absolutely, yeah, I completely agree. Yep, he's got all the talent. Be great player. He's got all the talent in the world, be one of the top players. But yeah, he's okay with just being a great player. Doesn't want to take that next step to being an elite player.
Absolutely. So we'll get into our season preview, and we'll start with the Eastern Conference. And last night the Bucks beat the Nets 127-104. I do feel like the Nets are a little bit better. I think it's close between the two, but I think even without Kyrie, I think with Kyrie, the Nets are definitely better than the Bucks. But even without Kyrie, I do think the Nets are a little bit better than the Bucks. I think the biggest difference in the game last night was the bench. Nora and Connaughton had really good performances from the Bucks. Early outside of Mills, the bench didn't do anything for the Nets. So I do think that even with Harden, I think in a normal circumstance, I do think that the Nets are the better team. But I think we know that the Nets and Bucks are the top 2 teams in the East. The big question mark is going to be in the Eastern Conference is, who is your sleeper to be a team that could win the Eastern Conference? And I'll start with my team, and that's the Miami Heat. I think it's the Miami Heat because I like the addition of Kyle Lowry. I think the bubble hurt them a little bit last year. I think they were a little bit worn out by the bubble. That's why they only ended up getting the 6th seed. But I think having Bam Adebayo, having Jimmy Butler, and the coaching of Eric Spoelstra, I think to me the Heat are my sleeper team to get to the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference. Who's yours, Justin?
I'm actually going with the Atlanta Hawks. Heat are right there because you know me. I love the Heat organization. They always do a great job. But I'm taking Atlanta. If Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter could stay healthy this year, they just locked up John Collins. I love Clint Capella down low. He could play down low with pretty much anybody in the entire league. Trae Young, again, I think he's going to continue to get better. Bogdanovich, I think, continues to improve and be big off the bench there or as a starter. And off the bench, they still have Lou Williams. I know he really tailed off last year, but he's still a good guy to have off the bench, veteran guy. They really rallied around their coach last year. I think it's a team that's confident that can win in the postseason for the run they went on last year. So I think Atlanta could be a sleeper team to get to the NBA Finals this year.
So now we're going to go to our sleeper team. We feel like that can make the playoffs. A team that no one's kind of talking about. A team that could and then we're not going to talk about the play-in tournament, but could be one of the top 8 teams get into the NBA playoffs. Kind of a sleeper team. And my team actually made the play-in tournament last year, but got crushed. But I really, really like what I see. I know they got crushed to the Mavericks in that preseason game, but I really like LaMelo Ball, and I think he makes a jump to a at least a top 30 player this year, because I think he's definitely be better than Lonzo. He could shoot the 3. He's really good at that, and I feel like he's going to make the Gordon Haywards, the Terry Roziers. I think he's going to make those guys better around him. So that's why I got the Hornets as my sleeper team to make the playoffs out of the Eastern Conference. Who's your sleeper team, Justin?
I had Toronto. It was between Toronto and Charlotte. But I took Toronto, and I think last year I think a lot of it was having to be in Orlando all year. They weren't home at all. I think that was a big part of why they struggled. They got rid of Lowry. He goes on to Miami. But I think Siakam has a better year. I like OG Anunoby. I think plays well. I like adding like a veteran guy, Gordon Dragic, to take that point guard spot. I like Nick Nurse as a coach. I feel like the Raptors are gonna be better than they were last year. Fred VanVleet Van Vliet
Van
is
Fleet.
another solid player. So yeah, Van Vliet. So I like the Raptors. I think they're going to be much better than they were last year. I just think having in the bubble had a lot, or playing in Orlando had a lot to do with their struggles last year. It just kind of seems like they really struggled last year. So I'll take the Toronto Raptors, my sleeper.
And we got a comment, gentlemen and fans. Hi, Peter from North. Don't sleep on the Hawks. Huge Hawks fan from. Oh, he got blocked there. So yeah, I thought it was a Hawks fan. I think maybe Jace knew about that guy from earlier. But yeah, but we'll go on to the Western Conference, and last night obviously the Lakers lost to the Warriors 121-114. I do think there could be a little bit of a concern with Russell Westbrook because of his lack of three-point shooting, how he's going to fit in with that Laker team. But I do think with the talent they have, they're going to figure it out. I think it's pretty obvious who that the Lakers are the best team. The second best team is definitely going to be a race for that. I mean, you could make a case for Phoenix, you could make a case for Denver, you could make a case for even the Warriors if Klay Thompson is the same. There's a lot of teams in there. Even Dallas, if Luka continues to be as good as he is, if Luka even takes that next step this year, so you can make a case for them as well. So there's a lot of teams you could make a case for in that spot as the second best team in the West. But we'll talk about who our sleeper team in the Western Conference is. And mine is the Denver Nuggets. And I think the Denver Nuggets very easily could win the West. They definitely could be that sleeper team to win the Western Conference because Jamal Murray, if he can stay healthy, is one of the better point guards in the league. We know Jokic is the MVP from last year. But the biggest reason is I think this will be the year Michael Porter Jr. finally makes that leap to being a superstar. And if he can, the Nuggets, I think, are clearly the second best team in the Western Conference. Justin, who's your sleeper to come out of the West?
I agree with you. I got the Denver Nuggets. I know Murray may not be back till near March, but I think, they may, because of that, maybe they are kind of down there at the 4 spot. But I think I really like the core. Yeah, I think Michael Porter is going to have a bigger impact on this offense. I think he's going to have a bigger role, especially with Murray going to be out most of the year. I think Jokic's only going to get better coming off his MVP year. I like their first-round pick in Bones Highland. I know he played pretty well in the preseason. We'll see what he does now in the regular season, but I did like that pick as another guard spot. I think it's a team that's been close the last few years. I know losing Murray hurt last year. Like I think it's a Nuggets team that's getting ready to kind of break through in the West, and I think they could do it. I think this could be the year for the Denver Nuggets to represent the Western Conference.
I could very easily see that. So now we'll go to who our sleeper team to make the playoffs is in the Western Conference, and this one's going to come out of nowhere. This team's got talent, but this one's going to come out of nowhere for me. And for me, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, you look at their roster last year. Cats missed 22 games. Anthony Edwards had a pretty good. I mean, he's not as great as LaMelo Ball, but he had a pretty good rookie year. D'Angelo Russell missed 30 games, so they had a lot of guys who missed games. Malik Beasley missed games too. I don't know if he's still on the team, but Malik Beasley he missed games too for the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves could be the sleeper team, and they are going to be my sleeper team. I got them as my number 8 seed in the playoffs. Justin, who's your sleeper team coming out of the West?
It's going to be another surprise one, and I'm actually going with my Kings. I'm not by. I really like the.
I knew you would do it, and I know the reason why you would do it. And I know exactly the reason why you're going to do it.
Why?
I know exactly. Their backcourt.
Yes.
De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton. I knew you were going to take the Kings to be your sleeper team.
Yeah. I was saying about Minnesota, but I think this is a year for the Kings, and and then I love Davion Mitchell too, coming off the bench. He played really well in the preseason, especially defensively.
Of course you love Davion Mitchell because he was good last year in college.
Yeah, he's been good though in the preseason. I'm watching him preseason and summer league defensively.
It's preseason and summer league, different ball game now.
No, it is, but I really am excited to see what he can do defensively. Because it's a team that's going to score, and what they did with Marvin Bagley now that he's out of the rotation, it's really setting the tone that we're defensively. We're going defense first. I like Rasheem Holmes at center. Bruce Harkless probably starting the power forward spot. That concerns me a bit, but I think their backcourt has enough talent. They still got Buddy Hield too coming off the bench for now. We'll see how long he kind of stays, but And then Terrence Davis, too, at the end of the year came on. He played really well towards the end of the year because he filled in for Fox for a while. And even Halberin got hurt. So I really like Terrence Davis, too, coming off the bench. The depth, too, they have Tristan Thompson as backup center. We'll see. But I don't know how much time we're going to see Bagley. And even if we do, Bagley last year offensively was good at times. He just cannot play any defense. So it's like if he can kind of figure himself out on the defensive end, I don't think he will with the Kings. I think it's pretty much all game over with him and the Kings. But I see this team, even though I cannot stand Luke Walton, you know that. But I love the backcourt. I think it's a team that can score some points, that they can get enough stops, and Luke Walton can not be out coached for a ton. I could see this team sneaking in as the 8 seed. I'm actually really excited to watch this Kings team play.
But you said it right there. Luke Walton's the head coach. And I just don't think with this roster, it was the most talented, and Luke Walton being the head coach, I don't think they're a playoff team. But we'll get to the Eastern Conference. Now we'll do who we think our top 8 teams in each conference are going to be, who our playoff teams are going to be. And for me, number one is definitely the Nets. I just still feel with Harden and even if Kyrie's out, with Harden and KD, they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to be number one. Number two, obviously, the Bucks, defending NBA champions. I think they're clearly the second best team in the Eastern Conference with Holiday, with obviously Giannis, and with Middleton. I think they're clearly the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Number three, I'm going with Miami Heat. I'm going with the Heat because I like the addition of Kyle Lowry. I like Bam, and I like Jimmy Butler. Eric Spoelstra, a top coach, and that's why I'm going with the Heat being number three. They were my sleeper to get to the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference. Number four, I'm going with the team that lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Atlanta Hawks. I think Nate McMillan did a great job taking over for Lloyd Pierce in the second half of the season. That Trae Young is a top 15 player in this league. He's outstanding, and he was hurt at the end of that, and at the end of the Western Conference Finals. And I think they got some good guys around him with Bogdanovich, with Capella, with John Collins, and with DeAndre Hunter. I think they got some good guys around them. That's why I got the Hawks the number 4 seed. Number 5, I'm still going to go with the Sixers because I'm still going to go with Doc. I'm still, I really like Joel Embiid. I really like, I obviously like Tobias Harris. I like Doc Rivers isn't great in the postseason, but he's good in the regular season. I think they take a little bit. I definitely think they take a step back, but I still think they're a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. Number 6, I'm going with my Knicks. Yes, not as good as last year, but I still think they got a really good starting 5. I really like. They got Kemba Walker. They got R.J. Barrett. Evan Fournier is kind of sneaky. Up and down. Julius Randle proved that he's a top 25 player in the league last year. Proved right he wasn't a great player in the postseason, but proved that he could be a really, really good number 2. That's why they do need R.J. Barrett to emerge if they want to be an NBA Finals contender. And obviously they got Mitchell Robinson at center too. So I got my Knicks as the number 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. Number 7, I got the Celtics. I feel like the Celtics have absolutely no direction of where they're going. They got Dennis Schroeder. That's a downgrade to Kemba Walker. Tatum and Brown are really good. But the problem is, I think Smart's okay. But the problem is, I feel like they downgraded with their head coach losing Brad Stevens. I feel like this organization is just going sideways right now. That's why I got the number 7. And number 8, I got the Hornets. That's why they're my sleeper playoff team. With LaMelo Ball, I think LaMelo Ball makes a leap this year to being a top 30 to 20, 25 to 30 player. And I think that the surrounding pieces of Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier are good pieces. So that's why I got the Hornets as my number 8 seed. Your top 8 teams, Justin.
My top 8 teams, I'm going to actually go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I like what I saw last night. I felt like even when they guys where Giannis was on the bench, I really liked how guys stepped up around them. They're going to be a little bit tougher this year, so I don't think they'll run away with it like they won the conference last year by, there won't be much, but I still think they take that top seed. Number 2, I got the Brooklyn Nets. Talented again. Even without Kyrie, they're still a really good roster. I did love the pick of Cam Thomas. I think he was a great scorer at LSU. He just cannot play much defense. That's why he's such a late pick, but in poor shot selection at times. Hurt him as well, I feel like. But I think he's a guy that can come off the bench, score some points, and for this Nets team, if they need some. Number 3 got the Miami Heat, one of my favorite organizations. Bringing Kyle Lowry, we'll see how that goes. But that could be a nice addition to another guy that's won a championship. Could Duncan Robinson bounce back this year and, play better? And then Kendrick Nunn, could they get going too? If those two can have bounce back years, I really like this Heat team to make a run here and bam out of bottom, especially defensively, really, really solid. Number 4, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. I still think they finished in the top half of the league with Embiid. They still have Curry as well, Seth Curry. So I feel like that, and Tobias Harris is a good good player as well. I think they're going to be able to score. I think they do finish in the first half of the league, but Number 5, I have the Atlanta Hawks as my sleeper. I think Young continues to make that step up, that next step. Clint Capela's, they have like a nice kind of roster there with Capella, Collins, Hunter, Reddish, Bogdanovich, Lou Williams. So I think they have enough there, but I think they finished, as the 5 seed. My number 6 seed, I do have the Boston Celtics. That was close between them and the Knicks. That sense of direction, it's a problem right now with the Celtics. But I can't pronounce a new coach's name. But reading through things, it sounded like fans are very and kind of people who follow the team. The writers kind of liked what they saw from the coach in the preseason. I know we'll see what in the regular season now, but they do have Tatum and Brown there. I think those two kind of keep them into it. They bring back Al Horford. We'll see how that goes with him and Robert Williams. If they could have some more depth at the center position, that was a huge problem last year at the center position. They have Enes Kanter as well. So I think the Celtics finished at 6. 7th, I have the New York Knicks. I'm really excited to see Kemba Walker come back to New York. You still got D Rose. Can RJ Barrett again take that next step? Evan Fournier, he's a good shooter at times. Other times, he can't hit the ocean. Mitchell Robinson, hopefully he could stay healthy. I know that's kind of been the big thing for because I like him. I think he'd be a solid player in the NBA. He just has not been able to stay healthy. Randall, can he continue to make the next step? I think Knicks take a little bit step back because last year, of how hard they were playing. Some teams kind of took the night off and they played so hard for 82 games. I think that's why they kind of fell off there towards in the playoffs. But I think the Knicks find a way to make the playoffs. And then number 8, the Raptors. My team, super team to get in. I like their roster. I think they have a much improved year from last year with bringing in Dragic. I like that veteran piece that they have. Fred VanVleet. I think Siakam plays better than he did last year. So I'll take the Toronto Raptors sneak in as the 8 seed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We'll go over to the Western Conference, and I'll start with my number 1 seed is the Lakers. I just think there's too much talent on that team with Westbrook, AD, and LeBron. I know they lost last night, but there's too much talent there. Number 2, I go the Nuggets. They're my sleeper to get to the NBA Finals. I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to take that next step. I think Jamal Murray is going to stay healthy. I think that's a top big 3 with Murray, Jokic, and Porter Jr. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns, the defending Western Conference champs. I think that Devin Booker is a top 15 player in this league. Clearly, he proved that last year. DeAndre Ayton, he's only going to get better at center. And I think Chris Paul, his leadership is going to help the Suns win. He's not in his prime, but his leadership is going to help the Suns win regular season games. Number 4, I'm going to go with the Jazz. I really like their starting 5 with Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert. They got Joe Ingles, and then they got Jordan Clarkson come out the bench, the 6th man of the year. So I like the Jazz. Number 4, number 5, I like the Mavs. Luka's just phenomenal. An MVP candidate. The issue there, though, is what's going to happen around Luka Doncic because they really didn't improve this team that much around Luka. And the issue is they downgraded a head coach with Rick Carlisle's a better coach than Jason Kidd, so they downgraded there. So that's why I have the Mavs number 5. Number 6, I got the Warriors. I think this team could be number 2, but I just don't trust how good Klay Thompson's going to be coming back from that injury. So I think but the Warriors, I wouldn't be surprised if they win. They were second. They were the team I would have picked if I didn't pick the Nuggets to be that sleeper team to come out of the Western Conference. Number 7, I got the Clippers. I just think Kawhi's going to miss too much time, and in a deep Western Conference, that's really going to hurt them. And number 8, I got the Timberwolves just because of their top end talent with Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell. Justin, your top 8 in the West.
My top 8, I have Utah finishing number 1 again. I think with Mitchell, I think Donovan Mitchell, I like the talent they have. Rudy Gobert, Bogdanovich, Conley coming back as well. I like Utah, and I think they finished first again in that division. It's a Division II. I guess I think they should be able to kind of win that division. Without Murray for most of the year. Portland, I don't know. Outside of McCollum and Lily Allen ton, but I think Utah finds a way to get the 1 seed once again. My number 2 seed, I do have the Phoenix Suns getting back there. I really think Devin Booker is going to take another step forward. The Ayton stuff now, DeAndre Ayton with the contract, we'll see how that kind of unfolds. But with Chris Paul, with Bridges, if he kind of be more consistent, I really like the Suns team. I think they have another chance. I think they have a chance to get back to the NBA Finals again and fight for another crown. Number 3, the Lakers. I just, LeBron's hurt a ton last year. AD's always had the injury problems. Russell Westbrook, I'm not a big fan of. So on paper, they're very talented and they have some depth there, but I just don't trust that those, LeBron, AD right now can stay healthy for 82 games. And, Russell Westbrook's not a great scorer. We know that. So I have him down there as number 3. Number 4, I have the Denver Nuggets. I think they could definitely be higher up there. I just, how are they going to do without Murray for the first half of the year or for most of the year, I guess. So with Jokic, I think coming off the MVP year, I think he plays well again. Porter, I think, has a bigger role for this team. I think the Nuggets do finish in the top half. Number 5, I do have the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, they haven't really improved much around Luka Doncic. I'm not a big Jason Kidd fan as a coach. We'll see how that goes and what's going on with Porzingis. Can he stay on the floor? Is he happy now in Dallas? There's some question marks there for the Dallas Mavericks that I just don't really know. Number 6 is Golden State. I wanted to put Golden State there at number 5, but I just don't know. We haven't really seen Klay Thompson in it's going to be 2.5 years. I don't know what we're going to get out of him. Curry's even had to battle some injuries the last few years. I think they're at a point where they have some talent around those two where if they're both hurt, they have some guys that can kind of keep them above water, but who knows how much. So I think the Warriors do find a way to get to 6 seed. Number 7 is the Clippers. Yeah, without Kawhi, is there any I don't hear anything on Kawhi's injury. I probably gonna be most of the year, it sounds like, but Clippers haven't really got much better. I think without him, I think they're gonna struggle for most part of the year. I think they still do have enough talent to find a way to get in the playoffs, but I think they're down there at the 7th seed. But if Kawhi can go back for the playoffs, I think they're a dangerous 7th seed. And then number 8, I do have my Sacramento Kings. I like her off. I like the backcourt. I like the pieces that we've gotten, and I feel like we're starting to finally kind of have a direction. Not a big Harrison Barnes fan for how much we're paying him, $25 million, but last year he scored 16 points a game, not bad. If the Kings could slow down teams because they could score points last year, they just could not stop anybody. If they could stop some teams and be able to put like 100, 110, 150 points like they did last year, I think they have a chance to find a way to get that 8 seed and finally break the 15-year run of the playoff draw.
All right, we'll wrap up talking about who our MVP and our Rookie of the Year are. It's pretty obvious who the Rookie of the Year is going to be. We got Cade Cunningham. I think he's clearly the best guy coming out of this draft class. And then my MVP is Luka Doncic. I think he's just phenomenal, and I think he's even going to take it to another level this year. The problem is they don't have as good of a head coach and enough guys. I feel like enough top guys around him for him to get to an NBA Finals.
Yeah, my Rookie of the Year, Cade Cunningham. I think he's going to win it, especially with the Pistons team that they don't have a ton of talent around. I like Jeremiah Grant that they have and Sadiq Bey. I think they have some talent. I think he could put up some big numbers for the Pistons. I know he's going to be hurt tonight. He's going to be out, but I think he would be a really, big night for Cade Cunningham because but other than that, they don't have a ton around him. So I think he's going to put up a lot of points and be the Rookie of the Year. I have Devin Booker. The last 2 winners were both 25 years old. They became like America's sweetheart during that playoff run, so I feel like that could mean something maybe to the MVP voting that's still kind of fresh of what the Suns did last year. Now I know the assists, he may not get a ton of assists because they have Chris Paul, and Chris Paul is one of the best distributors, but Booker gets double teamed a lot. So if he gets, he can dish it out to somebody and they can hit an open shot, I feel like his assists could go up. I think he only averaged 4 last year, 4 or 5. He didn't have a ton. not the greatest rebounder either, but I feel like the Suns finished in top half again. I think he could be a real consideration to win MVP this year.
All righty, that'll do it for our NBA season preview. We got week 8 of the college football season. Before we talk about that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
The college football season is coming back, and we got you covered on every game. We're breaking it down on each snap all season long. Catch us every week starting on August 4th. Joe Aguirre, Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and yours truly, Obi Muniz, giving you the highlights, predictions, and current rankings. Visit our website at hhwshow.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
So, as we've been talking about Ed Orgeron being gone at LSU, it's now official. He is going to be gone at LSU at the end of the season, as him and LSU will be parting ways at the end of the year. But Justin, I want to ask you this question: why are they agreeing to part ways?
Well, I think this stems back, to 2 years ago when they won the national title. That team was such a big outlier. He was never ever a coordinator coming up. Always a defensive line coach. It just never really seemed like after they really bought into him, or the coaching staff doesn't even seem like they're buying into him with what I've been reading. He handled the social injustice not very good, to the players. He went on Fox News 2 summers, the summer of 2020, and kind of was talking about how Donald Trump was doing a good job in office, he felt like, and the players really kind of, didn't sit well in the locker room with a lot of the guys. And I think that's kind of where it all begins, is right there. And one of his players kind of, has said, like, he's a good man, but is just blind to everything else. And, I think he's, a good guy. I just don't think he's, and he just kind of just hasn't been able to figure out some of the other problems. He's, there's been a report too of he's brought his girlfriend's kids to practice and they're participating in drills, and it's like you're coaching a college team. It can't be happening. There's been pictures released of him taking pictures with girls in hotel room. Like he just, it just kind of seems like the fame has, has gotten to him. He just hasn't, the fame has kind of got to him. It just, and then Bo Pelini last year, he actually admitted after he fired him, I called him and offered him the job. No interview. And you saw how bad that defense was last year. That was atrocious. You could see the effort defensively this year. And, and I'm not sure how, and I've, have read from writers who are in that lot, who, write for the program, kind of say, like, some of these injuries are not as bad as they make it out to be. Like, it's just, it seems like some guys just don't want to play and they're kind of just, saying injured. So it's a total mess. And and Saturday's game was insane because of, Florida, I think, beat themselves more, but their offense averaged, I think, 2 yards a game against Power 5 teams, or 2 rushing yards against Power 5 teams won that game. They ran for over 300 yards. So again, I just, the buy-in just wasn't there, I don't think, anymore. It's a program that, again, it just, this expectation just went through the roof, and they have not played well since. They're 9-8 since. The buy-in, I think, it's just not there, was not there anymore. And you could really tell that on the field. The effort, especially in all over the place, was just not very good.
We'll go to LSU's game this week as they face Ole Miss, and I think this is a game that Ole Miss covers. Matt Corral and Ole Miss, they cover and beat the Tigers by 2 scores.
Matt Corral actually may not play, according to Lane Kiffin. He ran the ball 30 times, and he said he's pretty banged up right now. So Ed Orgeron made it sound like that could be Lane Kiffin's smokescreen. I don't really know. I think Ole Miss wins if he doesn't play. It could be John Reese Plumlee, who ran for 212 yards a couple years ago, 2019 against LSU. They put up some points in that game. He moved the wide receiver, so he's got the most experience. We'll see. If not, if Matt Corral does play, I think they do win this thing by 2 scores. Eli Manning's number will be retired on Saturday in Oxford, and they're also painting the end zones with Manning. And
Nice.
Of course, too, they're pulling out all the stock because Archie Manning will be on a visit too. So they're pulling out all the stops for Ole Miss.
Nice.
And for Lane too could be auditioning too for the LSU job because Scott Woodward, the athletic director, is going to be there. And Lane Kiffin, I think, is going to be a high candidate up on that list of guys that he wants. So I could see Lane Kiffin pulling out some trick plays and putting it on LSU if possible to kind of for his first kind of interview for this job here. So I think LSU, if Ole Miss if Matt Corral plays Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss is going to put up a lot of points, and I think LSU's going to have a rough time stopping them.
We got number 10 Oregon going to UCLA this week, and I don't get why UCLA is a favorite. I don't get that at all. I think Oregon. I think it's a close game, but I think Oregon beats Chip Kelly's. I think Chip Kelly doesn't get revenge against his former team.
So you had not seen much Ducks football lately, I'm assuming.
No. I haven't seen much Ducks football.
They have not played very well since the Ohio State game. Down the Stanford game, they probably should have got a win. It was a terrible call at the end of the game. Cal had 8 tries from the 10-yard line last week to win that game. 8 plays, and they could not punch it in the end zone to win the game last week against Oregon. They struggled for a while with Arizona. Is one of the 2 or 3 winless teams left right now in the FBS. They struggled against them. I think UCLA is going to be able to run the ball against them. Oregon's too is they're just so banged up. Travis Dye's out for the remainder of the year. CJ Verdell's out. Their other running back, he's out for the year. Linebacker wise, they're still pretty banged up out front. It's just they haven't been playing great. They've been banged up. And in 6 of 7 games, UCLA has ran for at least 198 yards. I think they're able to do this in this game. Oregon's been much better in the fourth quarter. They're outscoring teams 72-31 in the fourth quarter, but UCLA knocked them off last year in the upset, up in the zoo. But I know there's no fans. I think UCLA finds a way to get it done this week at home, 31-27.
We got a Big 12 matchup: Oklahoma State and Iowa State. And I think in this game, I think that Oklahoma State, they're not even favored. They're a 7-point underdog, but I think they pull the upset. I feel like it's Oklahoma State's year. I feel they're kind of a team of destiny with Mike Gundy, and I got them pulling the upset over Iowa State.
I actually got Iowa State. Oklahoma State, they went to Texas last week and won, but Casey Thompson was driving late in that half to go up 24-3, and he'd throw a pick 6, and then it was all of a sudden for Texas, oh boy, here we go again. They really didn't play well that second half. They kind of, after a while, or after the second half, you kind of just see confidence level went down for Texas again. They didn't play well in the second half, I thought that was more to do with Texas than it was Oklahoma State. They took advantage of it, but Spencer Sanders is not very good. I like Brock Purdy more than Spencer Sanders. Brock Purdy has been playing well, even though the last 2 games against Kansas State. Breece Hall is coming out of almost 197-yard rushing game against Kansas. I think Iowa State gets his win at home. Iowa State's been really good stopping the run. That's what Oklahoma State likes to do. I think Spencer Sanders makes 2 or 3 mistakes in this game. And I'll take the Cyclones to get the upset 24-20.
We got Clemson heading up to Pittsburgh to play Pitt, and Kenny Pickett's been playing really well for Pittsburgh. 21 touchdowns, 1 pick. And I think Pittsburgh wins this game. I'm going with the better quarterback. I think Pitt stays undefeated in the ACC and beats Clemson by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got Pittsburgh too, 27-20. Clemson's coming out the bye last week, and they still cannot fix their offense. So it ain't getting fixed. And I don't know if you saw any of that game last Friday, but DJ Uiagalelei, he just looks broken, no confidence, just, took way too much time in the pocket last week. Just, not great, it just, it just kind of just looks broken. It's unfortunate because, again, I think he's got a lot of talent, but they're not they just kind of just run vertical routes and just hope for the best, and that really is not working right now for him. They just lost another running back to transfer portal, so Pittsburgh's going to get after you defensively. Clemson's offensive line's not great. If DJ holds on the ball too long, I think Pittsburgh could have. They already have 20 sacks in the year. I could see them having 3 to 4 in this game. Kenny Pickett's been unbelievable. I think he's a dark horse for the Heisman. Somebody that's not really being talked about at all. The 5th-year senior, Pat Narduzzi's team, they've struggled to run the football, which is crazy, and their passing attack's been unbelievable. Their defense, too, has been playing really well. This is, Pittsburgh offense, I think, does enough in this game, and They upset Clemson a few years ago, that wild 41-38 game back in Death Valley, 2016, I believe. But I'm going to take Pittsburgh right now. Clemson's just not a very good football team offensively. Defensively, their team is great, but I just up front missing 2 All-Americans. I just don't see them beating Pitt.
Big Ten matchup in Bloomington as Ohio State faces Indiana, and I think this is a blowout. I think I'm going to Ohio State. I'm going to Ohio State by 3 or 4 scores. I think they win big. CJ Stroud has a big game. I don't care who plays quarterback for Indiana. They're going to struggle. I got Ohio State going into the Penn State game with 1 loss.
Yeah, I got Ohio State 41-17. This round robin starting next week, but in the Big Ten East, this is going to be very, very fun to watch. Those
huge week in the Big Ten East next week. Yeah. Huge week. Huge week in the Big Ten East.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And even the whole month of November, as those teams all going to get to beat up on each other. I got Ohio State big, 41-17. Indiana, I thought they moved the ball against Michigan State, but they kicked 3 field goals. They got 1 touchdown. They should have beat. I thought they played better than Michigan State last week, but Ohio State against the secondary. CJ Stroud's last 2 games, 10 interceptions 10 touchdowns, no interceptions. They're coming off a bye as well. I don't think it's a look ahead. I think Ohio State buries them big. They struggled with them last year. They got to Justin Fields, but right now Indiana, I think is really struggling right now. I see Ohio State win this game big.
We got a rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries in college football in South Bend this week, as USC heads to South Bend to face Notre Dame. But an interim head coach is not beating Brian Kelly. That's why I got Notre Dame winning it by 2 scores.
I think USC keeps this thing close in this game. I got 31-27. Again, you never know what USC is going to show up. In their 3 losses, they've given up, their defense given up 44 points. In their 3 wins, they've given up 11. So I just don't know where you're going to get. Drake London's one of the top wide receivers in the country. He's got 64 catches already, 5 or 6 touchdowns. He's been unbelievable. Both teams, you're going to see both quarterback. Jack Cohn is going to start for Notre Dame. For USC, Jackson Dart, their backup. If he's healthy enough, you're going to see him on the field with Keenan Slovis, but if not, he won't play. But Notre Dame, I think, is able to do enough. They should have their tight end, Michael Bayer, their big tight end that they love, target to. He should be available in this game. I think USC keeps it close to the rivalry game, but I got to take the Irish at home on a Saturday night. I don't see them losing to USC team. You just don't know what to expect.
NC State and Miami, and I think NC State wins this game easily. Miami's just having a really, really rough year.
Yeah, I got NC State 34-17. Manny Diaz, he was hired at Temple, and 2 weeks later, Miami thought that this guy was going to be the next great thing, and they, grabbed him back from Temple, forced Mark Richt to leave or retire, and he's probably going to lose his job at the end of the year. NC State 34-17. NC State was their 2-headed monster with Zaire Knight and Ricky Parson Jr. I think they do whatever they want. Devin Leary, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think he does what he has to do in this game. Derek King's out for the year, so it is the redshirt freshman quarterback Tyler Van Dyke from Glastonbury. My brother actually played against him in youth football, but we'll see how he does. He got better in seeing after the Virginia game. He played better. He gave him an opportunity to win. They just Manny Diaz played for the field goal and they missed the field goal. But I think NC State's defense has been unbelievable. They've been giving up 13 points a game. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown. I don't think Miami to be able to do a lot in this game. I got NC State win this thing big.
All righty, so that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For our producer, Jace Garcia, who did a great job. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about the World Series, Week 9 of the college football season, and Week 8 of the NFL season. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Meat, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the Unsolved Murder of Dave. David Eigman. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.